This is the Aptitude Outdoors podcast, where we interview conservationists, hunters, anglers, and outdoorsmen and women to bring you the greatest stories, information, and advice from the best in the world. I don't know about you, but I always carry a knife. It doesn't matter what the situation is, I'm always reaching for a blade. Whether I'm out hunting in the backwoods, fishing on lakes and rivers, or simply cutting rope at camp. And when I need a tool, I want something that's quality, durable, and handmade right here in the USA. I know that's something you're looking for as well, so go to maloneknives.com and get yourself something that's going to last and look damn good too. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Aptitude Outdoors podcast. Thanks for tuning back in. I hope you guys are gearing up for another year of adventure, exploring, and trying new things. If you go back onto the Aptitude Outdoors Instagram, I've made a recap video of all the cool stuff that I was lucky enough to do this year, and I hope you get to do new things this year. It's, a lot of it is going out of your comfort zone and trying stuff that makes you a little uncomfortable. Say, for instance, when I was fishing in the ocean with my good friend Derek York, Spot Stalker Fishing Texas Guide Service. My only experience fishing in the ocean was I got really seasick when I was a lot younger. So I was really nervous to go out there because we were out there for most of the day. And I did take some Dramamine and stuff like that, and it helped. I did get a little queasy, but it's just like things that happened in the past, you can't just continually dwell on them and think that's how it's going to be forever. So that's a lesson that I learned, is just kind of push through. Worst case scenario, you just get sick, and it is what it is. It might not be for you. So don't be afraid to try new stuff. It's always uncomfortable to try new stuff. Always, every time. First time I went and tried CrossFit, it was awkward and weird. I've been doing it for almost 3 years now. It's just like continually doing things that make you uncomfortable, pushing yourself. It's the only way to get better. And that's kind of the topic of today's episode. I know I've been doing a lot more solo episodes because there's a lot of ideas that I want to get out there to everyone who listens to the podcast that really help me, because chances are if I'm having a hard time with something, everybody's having a hard time with something, because we're just human and things are hard, and that's just the way life is. But one of the issues that I've been having, one of the things I've been noticing with people that I try to introduce into the outdoors to new things that can be a little bit scary, is a lot of people are so used to having control over every single facet of life, or at least thinking that they do, because today we can easily get anything we want at any time with hardly any consequences besides a little credit card debt or something. You go online, you get whatever you want, you buy the $500 Sitka clothes or whatever you want to buy, and then you go out, and then they have these expectations that everything's going to be like a video game. You're going to get the fish, you're going to get the deer, and it's not like that at all. And an instance that is currently happening, last year, as you've all heard me talk about a billion times, got really into ice fishing. Last year was a freak season. There was a foot of ice in early January, before I ever even stepped foot out there. The lake was frozen. And I've never attempted ice fishing in the past because we just, frankly, haven't had enough ice. It's been really, really too sketchy. So went very hard into ice fishing last year. I got all the stuff that I needed to cobble together an ice fishing trip, all the shelter and the short rods and the heater and all this stuff, scrounged it up, and spent a lot of time last year ice fishing. So my good friend Derek, who went with me on all these trips, is hooked. He's obsessed with ice fishing, and he went and he got all the gear. He collected it throughout this whole year, expecting this season to be the same. The season is not the same. It is mid-January, and it is currently like 50 degrees outside here in Northwest Ohio. And a lot of you, I would assume, if you travel at all, you know how much of a pain in the ass it is to book stuff. Like, sometimes things are booked a year in advance. And the lake that we wanted to go back to, because there were some really awesome pike in that lake. I mean, I physically saw them with my eyes, and we wanted to really target down on pike this year, focus on like one species of fish, two species like bluegill and stuff to eat, and then, learn while we're out on this lake. So we booked this trip 6-7 months in advance because this cabin was booking up quick, and we figured, oh yeah, late January, good bet. We're actually supposed to go in a couple of weeks from when this podcast comes out. And there's just no ice. There's nothing we could do about it. We had that gnarly cold spell where it was like in the negative degrees for a few days at a time. I went and checked on the ice. It was a few inches thick, and then we had this heat wave coming through. And there's none of this that's in our control. So we ended up having to cancel the cabin because the forecast doesn't look any better for the rest of the January. I mean, you can only get so far out accurately before it is what it is. But even if it was below freezing at the bare minimum for the next couple of weeks, I don't think there'd be enough ice to fish on safely. And that's just like, the thing with the outdoors is you don't have any control over that. Frankly, in life, you don't have any control over most things. And it's like trying to teach that to someone who's new, who hasn't been through this. You know, I dealt with this on the Appalachian Trail a ton. Like, you have a plan, you want to do a thing, you want to hit the 20 miles for the day. You don't always do it. Shit happens. You get injured. You just are so exhausted that the thought of going another step just is like, you can't do it. So you take a rest day or something and you fall behind. You got to make up time, whatever. It is what it is. That's every scenario in life. We do it at work all the time. How many times do you slack off Monday through Wednesday, and by Thursday you're like, shit, I have so much work to do, instead of just like, you know, slowly getting everything done. That's just how life works. Things happen that are out of our control, and there's nothing we can do about it. So you can say that to someone all you want, but until something like this happens where your just whole plan gets completely demolished, it doesn't become a reality. And I think that's a good way to think about pretty much anything you're doing, is to just realize that you're very limited on what you control. I mean, you can control, how you react to things like the situation. I could bitch and moan and cry and say, oh, it's the end of the world. Woe is me. I don't get to go ice fishing. Or you could just be like, yep, that's the way shit is. There's nothing I can do about this, and move on. So you can control how you react to a situation. And honestly, I didn't even really get that bummed about it because I've been doing outdoor stuff so long that I just know that that's always a possibility. Like, things cancel. Just for instance, I would have been down in Texas and there would have been a giant rainstorm or something and high winds. I wouldn't have been able to go fishing with Derek. That was something I accepted going down there. Like, that could happen. Did it happen? No, I got very lucky, but it could happen. The only other thing you really have control over is like how you keep yourself, like physically, mentally, whatever. Like, you, not even mentally, like physically, you have control a little bit of how you take care of yourself, what you eat, what you don't eat, which is more important, and like how much exercise you're doing. And, you know, this isn't an exercise podcast, but I think it's very important to stay in shape, especially if you're doing really intensive outdoor stuff like hunting and fishing. This is not like easy stuff to do physically, especially if you're walking really far onto public land or something, or you're kayak fishing and you're doing all this stuff under manual power, which a lot of people are. You want to stay in shape. So you have control over that. You don't have control over if you get injured. You don't have control over if you get sick. For instance, I missed Christmas. I had the flu. I couldn't do anything. I was stuck at home. I could have gone to Christmas. I didn't want to get everybody sick because I felt like it's not the right thing to do. Did I want to go and be with my family and all this stuff? Yeah, absolutely. But it wasn't up to me. And I felt like the right thing to do was to not get everyone else sick. Because if I was that person and someone came in sniffling and blowing snot everywhere, I would not be very happy. Like, now I know I'm going to get sick because I'm here with you. So it's just like, you know, you have control over how you react to a situation is basically what I'm getting at. You can control that. You cannot control anything else. You can't control how, if someone's mad at you for not coming or whatever, that's not up to you. And it's the same thing with the outdoors. I don't control any of this stuff.
You go as a dream through the
There's been multiple times this year where I was in what would be considered the perfect spot for a deer to come up, and they're not, these like NPC characters in a video game that just do stuff to help you win or whatever, to make you have this dopamine rush. They're animals. They don't want to be dead. They don't want to be shot at. They're just like, anything that seems weird to them, they're going away. They're not coming back because they're animals. They're sentient beings doing their own thing, walking around, wandering around. So it's just like, you have to realize that. Do I get bummed when I didn't get that opportunity? Absolutely. You're sitting out there for hours in the cold, just sitting and waiting for these animals to come through, and it's disheartening. But like, I know that going in, I know that these things are going to happen, and that's not in my control. What I do control in that situation is, did I put in enough time at the range to be accurate at shooting my gun or bow at a distance where I could bag a deer or whatever the animal is? The answer is probably not, because I was unsuccessful. So it's just like, those are things now that I know I need to work on. I know I need to go to the range more. I need to get a membership at a rifle range and work on shooting at 100 yards. And I need to up my bow range. I've been very comfortable at 20 to 30, but this year a deer walked out at 40. I need to be comfortable at 40. So I need to put in more time with my bow. I don't need a better bow. I don't need to, upgrade every piece of equipment on my bow. I just need to practice more with what I have and maybe understand my instrument a little better. Those are all things that I have control of. Don't have control over the deer. Don't have control over the ice. Don't have control over any of that. And it's just like, this concept with the outdoors, I feel like, should be a priority to a lot of people, so they're not disappointed. I mean, how many times have you wanted to go for a hike and it just starts pouring or something? Or, you got a friend in town and you were going to go kayaking on the river, and the kayak rental place for whatever's closed that day. It is what it is. You have to find other things to do. You have to be able to be resilient and make sure that, you don't get upset about these things. Because if you think about it, it's a really silly thing to be mad about. Like, oh, everything didn't go my way. And society nowadays is kind of telling us that you should be comfortable and everything should go your way and everybody should like you, and your social media, everybody praises you, and you just delete people that don't like you, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, that's not how it is. Like, I guarantee you there are people who do not like me and the things I do just because of the way I am. And that is not in my control. I really don't care. It's like, do you want everybody to like you? Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't you? But like, if they don't, they don't. That's not up to me. I'm who I am. I'm not going to change who I am to try and like make everybody on the world happy. And that's like, the outdoors has taught me those lessons. When I started the Appalachian Trail, I tried to make friends with every hiker that walked by. And, a lot of them had probably never thought about finishing the trail any more than they thought about starting it. They just go out there and do this thing. And 90% of the people I met did not make it through. And it's just like, I'm trying, like, there's no reason to just be an asshole, but it's just like, I spent all this energy on trying to like befriend these people, and they just ended up like giving up immediately, and I never saw them again. And it's just like, you can't base your life around things out of your control, other people, other actions, the weather, whatever. And another, on the flip side of that too, is you also have the option to do things regardless of what's happening. Like, there are times where I have gone out and hunted in shitty, nasty weather just because I had the time to do it and I didn't want to waste part of my season or something. So you have control over that as well. Like, and it never hurts to do things that suck. I'm really like just kind of blown away about how everything we do nowadays is based around comfort, being comfortable, comfort. Like, I like to be around people who do uncomfortable things, because like, I don't think you're doing yourself any favors by being comfortable all the time, because when any strife hits, like the situations I'm talking about now, everything falls apart. And like, if you can learn to be resilient and build toughness mentally through challenging things, like, challenging things can be anything. It could be reading a really long book. I read a lot of books, but it is a skill that I have practiced for decades, because I am still to this day a slow reader. It takes me forever to finish a book just because I'm a slow reader. I don't know. And I'm not interested in being a fast reader. I'm not interested in speed reading, but it's just like, it's hard for me to read. But now every day I wake up, I eat, and then the first thing I do is read for like an hour. That's what I do every single day. I might only get through 2 chapters. I might get through 1 chapter. It is what it is, but I know that I need to read to be better at what I do, so I do it. I read. It's not a chore anymore, but for a long time it was, and it's the same with exercise. It builds that like mental capacity that you can use while you're doing other hard shit like hunting or kayaking or, fishing. When you've already been out for 3 hours and you don't want to be out there anymore, you can push that time a little further, and something like strenuous exercise helps with that. Say you're running and the farthest you've ever run is 3 miles. And then the next time you say you're going to run, you say, I'm going to run 4 miles. So you go, you get to 3 and you're like, all right, well, I can call it here. Just do the extra mile. Just shut your brain off, go. I never want to do it. I ran a 10-mile race a month ago. I didn't want to do the first mile, but it's just like commit, do it. Even if you got to walk, whatever, put in that extra. Or, commit to doing things 5 days a week. I'm going to work out 5 days a week. It doesn't matter what it is. But keeping that tough part of your day is going to set you up for when your ice fishing trip cancels and you're like, well, it is what it is. Oh, well, this deer walked by and I missed my shot. It is what it is. You've practiced putting your brain in these tough situations and dealing with them and coping with them. And it's just like anything else. When you start, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. It's going to be terrible to create that habit. Like, okay, well, I'm saying I'm going to the gym 5 days a week. And I'm not like really big on easing into shit. Like a lot of people are like, we'll start with 1 day and then do 2 and then build up to 5. Unless it's something insane, like, running a marathon or something, you need to build up to these things because your body is just not ready for that much strenuous activity. And I know there's people out there who would be like, oh, just do it. But like to go to the gym for 30 to 45 minutes a day, you can handle that. Your body can handle a lot. So it's just like breaking through that barrier and realizing that you're capable of a lot more sets you up for when you're disappointed and you're like, oh, well, this isn't that really big of a deal. I know I'm capable of a lot. I know I can handle a lot of bullshit. It's way easier to overcome those situations. So that's my thoughts on being resilient in the outdoors and also just accepting that 99% of the things are out of your control. The things that are in your control is how you react and how you take care of yourself. That's pretty much all that you are able to do. So I hope you guys got something out of this. This is a philosophy that I live by. I'm obviously not a fitness guru or a fucking model or whatever, but that is how I live my life. I don't have a 6-pack and I'm not shredded or whatever, but that's not why I'm doing these things. It's because I enjoy being in the outdoors, and being in the outdoors can be brutal. So you have to do brutal things to get you ready. There's a saying about, soldiers training at peacetime. So when the war comes, they're ready. It's not terrifying. They're ready to do it. It's the same thing with what we're doing. All of us are doing in the outdoors. So I hope you guys can commit to some stuff this year. Push yourself out of your comfort zone. Do things that are hard. Do things that make you uncomfortable. And you'll have a good time 90% of the time. It might not always be 100% fun, but when you look back, you're like, I did that. That was badass. And I hope you guys have an awesome new year. Don't forget to head over to the YouTube channel and subscribe. I've been working on a documentary with my friend Seth, whose episode you can watch. He's one of my first guests. A long time ago, we've become very good friends. We started working on some documentaries together. That'll be coming out here this year, hopefully, and I hope you guys will enjoy that. We've been working on a lot more longer content, in this world of bite-sized stuff. I create it as well, obviously, if you follow me on social media, but I enjoy telling stories and making longer things. So that has been one of the things that I'm going to work on this year, is making longer more impactful content. I'm not saying 2-hour long videos. I'm saying maybe like 20-minute, 15-minute stories that are a little more impactful than just trying to like make content for the sake of making content. I'm just getting to the point where that's not fun anymore. And I'm trying to bring you more insightful guests and give you more information on tips on things that I've learned over the years of being in the outdoors, because I've been told that I need by really good friends of mine to let my authoritative voice out. And, I feel like I don't know that much, but they're always like, dude, you know more than a lot of people. And, I don't know. I just am trying to navigate that world of like not sounding like a know-it-all asshole, and also trying to give you guys hard-earned information that I have so you don't have to repeat those same mistakes. So enough on that. Hope you guys enjoy this episode. If you can, leave me a review on iTunes. It would really help the podcast grow. I know I've been asking that for years, but it really only takes a few seconds. You just click the star buttons for whatever you think the value of this podcast is worth. Hopefully it's worth 5 stars. I understand if you don't feel that way. Again, not everybody's going to like me. Hope you guys are having a great new year. See you next week with another episode.